Okay, I'm gonna go over a barbell squat so you can squat with confidence and know exactly what to do and kind of fix everything that you might be struggling with and just get started with a barbell squat. So I loaded some plates on here. If you need to, you can start with just the bar. The bar starting weight is 45 pounds, so we wanna get used to it because it's also 7 feet long. When I'm setting myself up for my barbell squat, I might notice some tightness. You might notice some tightness in the chest if you don't have great mobility back here. You might feel that the first couple of times. There's some mobility movements and stretching you can do so that goes away, but that is normal when you're first learning how to do this. So you're gonna set your hands up. I like to use my thumbs as land markers and kind of put them on the edges where these little teeth are. And then I'm gonna get right underneath the bar. The bar is gonna go across my traps and I'm gonna get my hips under the bar before I stand up. I'm gonna take 3 steps back. 1, 2, 3, and then I can adjust my feet so that I'm about shoulder width apart. This might change some days depending on how tight my hips are, but this is a good place to start. So this is what a barbell squat looks like. We're just squatting down, coming back up. You don't have to go ass to grass. It really is just dependent on your mobility and what your goals are, but let's aim for like a 90-degree angle made with our knees at the bottom of the squat. So something you'll notice is that I don't want this to shrug down my back. I want to keep it on my traps. And something I can do to prevent it from falling down is to roll my wrists forward to keep it on the traps. And I'm going to pull down with my elbows so I can engage my lats. I'm going to come down and back up. Something you'll notice too is my bar path. So if my bar path is coming slightly forward and slightly back, then that means that I'm probably going to feel it a little bit more in my back. What I'm aiming for is my bar path going straight up and straight down. I said that backwards, but you get the point. Oh, I'm out of breath just teaching that. A common mistake that people have is their knees are caving in. So they're here, their knees cave in and they come up. There's some exercises you can do to help strengthen those inner thigh muscles, but something you can do as a cue when you get started is think about rotating your knees out. So without moving my toes, I want to think about just rotating my knees out. Like if I were a screw on the ground, I'm just going to turn out just a little bit to help drive the knees out when you're going down and as you're coming up. So I'm getting set up for my squat. I know I have an issue with my knees caving in, so I'm going to think about turning my knees out slightly. I'm going to come down, and even as I'm going up, I'm thinking about pushing the knees out. And when I'm re-racking, I want to walk straight into the squat rack and drop it down. Some people will do like the 1, 2. That's a lot of work. We want to make it so that the hooks, the J hooks that we're using, are right at our armpit so that we can just walk into the squat rack and drop the weight without a bunch of hassle. Something else to think about when you're squatting that a lot of people don't really realize when they're starting is what you're wearing on your feet. If you're wearing shoes that are meant for running, they're going to be a little bit more foamy because they're meant to help you spring forward. If you're using those kinds of shoes when you're squatting, you're going to feel really, really unstable. If you don't have shoes for lifting yet, that's okay. You can just take your shoes off. It's going to be a lot more stable than that foamy base. We want to keep a really strong base with your squat. So we want to think about our foot as a tripod. We have 2 points of contact in the front and 1 in the rear with our heel. You can think of the 2 in the front as your big toe and your little toe. So when you're squatting down, you don't want to come up on the balls of your feet, and you also really don't want to lift your toes up. That just leads to instability, and there's just more a risk of falling over, and we don't want that. So we're going to think about keeping all 3 points of contact on the ground as we're going down and as we're coming up. So I'm thinking about keeping a really strong base, and I'm also almost getting a grip on the floor with my feet. So the little arch in my foot, I'm thinking about like grabbing onto the ground. I know it sounds weird, but try it out. Come down, keeping my feet strong, base strong, exhaling to come up. Again, when we're doing a compound movement, you really want to get this down like a well-oiled machine. You've got your timing right, you've got a rhythm, you've got a cadence, you know how to breathe, you know how to brace, and it's going to help you a lot with keeping up as you're getting heavier and as you're even increasing more reps. So what I like to do is an inhale, come down, exhale, come up, big exhale to come up. Bracing is all about keeping this tension all around your torso so that this can stay strong and we're not putting a lot of pressure and tension on the spine in a way that's going to cause injury. So it's going to be really important That's why lifters have those belts, is it helps keep that stabilization there. But it's really important to learn how to do this without a belt first. Barbell squats are so skill based. So when you're first learning this, it's a really good idea to do a couple sets of 10. So like 2 to 3 sets of 10, just to get the muscle memory down, because it's a lot going on. It's why it's a skill. So practice. So you can do regular reps of 10 where you're keeping a good pace. Another one I really like to do, just to kind of slow things down and help you connect with everything that's going on, are pause squats. So you're probably going to have to start pretty light with this. Even just the bar would be great. So we're going to get under the bar just like we have been. Stand up, 3 steps out. We can adjust. So a pause squat looks like this. We're coming down, we're pausing. 1, 2, 3. Back up. 1, 2, 3. Back up. I like to do anywhere from 3 to 8 reps with my clients and with myself, just so you can slow down and get used to it. Something I also didn't mention earlier is when you're doing your squat, you don't want to just drop down. We're completely losing any tension here when we're going down. We just want to have a sense of control. So it's not like a super slow eccentric where we're taking 5 seconds to come down. It's just we're not letting gravity do the work here. We're in charge of how fast the weight goes down.